Recruitment Officer for Robert Gordon University, taking care of the Americas. Thank you for coming today. I will take some questions once I finish with the presentation, so feel free to ask me, and I've given both of you my email address as well, so if there's anything that you need to contact me for, feel free to do that, and KOM is of course there to help you guys with if there's any inquiries, etc. as well. Right, so I'll just move on, and we'll see how it goes. All right. So a little bit of an introduction to RGU and life in Scotland. Where is Aberdeen? So Aberdeen is located at the northeast of UK, as you can see. So by plane to London is about 1.5 hours, as well as to Manchester and Amsterdam. By car to Edinburgh, which is the capital city of Scotland, is about 2 hours and 15 minutes, whereas Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland, and that's about 2 hours and 45 minutes by car. Obviously, they are also both accessible by train, and train to Edinburgh is about 2.5 hours, and if you would like to take the train down to London, it's 7.5 hours. But so moving on. So a lot of people think that Aberdeen is kind of inaccessible, but it's not really true. If you can see on this map, these are all the direct flights that service Aberdeen. So as far as Turkey, as well as the Canary Islands right down here. There are also some new flights available as well. I think there's one that's to Morocco as well, and also some parts. Yeah, so it's here at Latvia as well. The direct flights is increasingly more accessible for Aberdeen. So if you ever come here, flying to Europe for a holiday over the weekend is something that I would strongly recommend. A little bit about Aberdeen. We are the second safest city in Scotland, and also the third largest city in Scotland. We have about 25,000 student population and about 1,500 energy companies based here. As you can see, this is the city, this is Union Street, the main city in Aberdeen. We have a nice balance. We're about 15 minutes away from the beach, and people still do some surfing, but you need a wetsuit because it's really cold. That's what I think anyway. And also the wilderness and highlands as well. In terms of costs, in 2017, Aberdeen was named the second most affordable city in UK for students by the NatWest Bank. So these are some of the indicative prices that sorry, Tyler, you can't hear me. Everybody else could hear me. Is it because your speaker is not switched on? Sorry, guys. I think there is. Let me just reply, Tyler. Hear me. Is your speaker. Right. So I'm just going to share this slide where you can see some of the indicative prices. However, I need to highlight to you that in UK, your books and stationeries are not really compulsory. So I would say that a student would usually spend more money on printing their assignments more than anything else. So it's not going to cost you as much. I remember I never bought a single book when I was here. Most of them was gotten more from the library, and there's also a lot of online books, ebooks that you can download as well, or access through our library system online. So it's not something you're going to spend much on, to be honest. Moving on, there are some Aberdeen myths that we need to sort of like bust, because a lot of people claim that it's cold and it snows all the time in Aberdeen, and this is not really true. We are just slightly colder than UK as a whole, and I mean south of UK, meaning England and Wales. It rarely snows here in Aberdeen. I would say during winter we will just have a handful of snow, nothing that a Canadian can't really handle, I would say. And summertime is really nice as well, to the highs of 25 degrees. So it's really nice in terms of weather as well. A lot of people also think that you can't really understand the Aberdeen accent, but because Aberdeen is actually there's quite a lot of international students, and also quite a vibrant community where a lot of people come from different places. So we have like even like the Spanish, the French, and there's quite a lot of Canadian as well, Malaysians, Chinese. So it's kind of like a mix, so you don't really feel like you can't understand the accent, to be honest. There's not really like an Aberdonian strong accent. Might be some a little bit more, but people like Kevin Harris, they're Scottish. If you can understand them, it's not a problem. Even Shrek is Scottish accent. So if you can understand Shrek, you definitely can understand us. The other thing about Aberdeen that people used to think that it's expensive. I wouldn't say so. It might be true many years ago due to the accommodation prices being high because of the oil prices, and there was a high demand for it. But for now, it has dropped significantly, so it's not really expensive. And in terms of like cost of living, usually I would say like 3 chickens cost about like 16 Canadian to 20 Canadian dollars, which is not really expensive when you have 3 whole chickens, and that's quite a lot of food for you for the whole week. Moving on, a little bit more about Aberdeen. This is the photo of our RGU campus. As you can see, this is the river, and these are all our little buildings that we have here along here at the riverside. So the library has a really amazing view of this whole Aberdeen city, and I usually would encourage you to have lunch right outside in the Serena Wood building as well, because it's really nice facing the river as well. Student in Aberdeen has the second highest number of part-time hours in UK as well. So in general, or on average, students at Aberdeen tend to earn more money as a student. You can work up to 20 hours per week during term time for under the student visa, and 40 hours during non-term time. So like, for example, it's exams week this week. So if you finished this week and it's next week and it's summer holidays already, you can work up to 40 hours on your student visa. Right, so some places of interest, and also some people ask me about the currency. So I'm going to touch a little bit of that. For those who like hiking, this is Ben Nevis, which is the highest point in Scotland. This is the Balmoral Castle. This is Donaghadee Castle, both quite accessible from Aberdeen. A little bit of an interesting fact. A lot of people don't know, but the £1 coin, coat of arms, if you pick up some of the pennies, it will make up a coat of arms as well that looks exactly like a £1 coin. And a lot of people also ask me about the Scottish currency and how is it different from the English currency. To be honest, they look different, but they're used the same way. They have the same value as well. So for example, if you take an English pound and you want to spend it here, it's not a problem at all. And if you are kind of like, I don't like the Scottish pound, what you can do is really just go to the ATM. There will be ATMs that only issue English pounds, while most of them have Scottish pounds, but there will be certain ATMs that only issue English pounds. So if you're kind of like particular and you're leaving Scotland, so say for example go on holiday to Spain and you want to take some English pounds, you can easily get that as well from the ATM, so don't worry about that. Moving on. Okay, a little bit of culture of Scotland and Aberdeen as a whole. Football, as a lot of people say, not American football, but football, soccer. We have a home team called Aberdeen. And then there's also Cayley dancing, which usually happens during Precious Week. And then there's the Highland Games. And that's also the Hogmanay during the New Year's. Usually the New Year celebration is called Hogmanay here in Scotland. A little bit about food. So as you all know, a lot of people would say that Scotland is the most popular and most famous for their whiskey. And it's about 2.5 to 3 hours away from Aberdeen. So normally a lot of students would do a visit of all the whiskey distilleries during the weekend as an outing. And a lot of people don't know, but UK is actually quite famous for its gin production as well. There's also the nightlife, plenty of things to do and party as well. So there's like Revolution de Cuba where they have like salsa nights as well. Obviously, there's also the real clubs where Espionage, where you have like 3 different floors with different clubs and things like that. So you'll be spoiled for choice. A little bit about RGU, moving on. We have 17,000 students from 130 countries, including Canada, USA, Mexico, all the way to China. We have about 90,000 international alumni around the world. We are also rated for TEFCO, which is a teaching excellence that makes us the top 20% of the UK universities because we have quality undergraduate teaching and learning. And that's about 97.6% of graduate employability for RGU. We are also ranked first in Scotland for that, and then number 27 in the world for that. We are also the first in Scotland for course satisfaction. We have a few subjects that's taught in RGU 11 schools, but basically we teach anything from architecture, art, design, business, management, accounting, computing, a lot of focus on oil and gas, but also a lot of engineering, health professions like pharmacy, physiotherapy, biomedical science, sports science, sociology, applied social studies, law, and also, well, information, communication, media, and things like that. So media being like journalism as well as video and filming. So one of the highlights of RGU is that we have work experience and placement opportunities available in most of our courses. They are professionally accredited courses designed to improve your employability. And in 2016-2017, over 200 students studied abroad as part of their degree with RGU, and that's like for the Erasmus usually. So the students would get a free exchange to a European country or countries that's part of the Erasmus. But if you're a student that's articulating, coming from Canada doing your last year, then you probably won't get that chance. But if you're studying from the first year, then you will be able to use that as part of the option to have some more international experience. So student life in RGU, I would say that we have a state-of-the-art facilities at the Riverside campus, as you can see. One of the favorite things I like is this one here, which is mostly in the business school. It's a meeting port where you can book and you can do discussions in the sofas and things like that. This is in the RGU Sport. And that's the climbing wall that we have. It's a 3-floor gym, climbing wall, and a 25-meter swimming pool is an Olympic size one. There are also individual study areas that's located around the campus as well. These are some of the photos that we've taken around campus, the facilities and things like that. This one here at the bottom, that's the one that the library is. And then there's like the Grade School of Arts doing like textiles and fashion design, computing, law, etc., etc. Right. Moving on, there will be student accommodation. Standard single rooms start at 175 Canadian dollars per week. I need to highlight to you that all the rooms in the student accommodations are single rooms, unlike in the States. We do not have room sharing. There are all sorts of accommodations that you can get to choose. There are one that's in the city center, that's the closest to the city center, and the ones that's close to campus, and it's really up to individual as well. If you don't like anything that you see, you can still ask our accommodation team to help assist you with looking for private accommodation, or if you have friends coming to RGU with you, you can basically rent a 2-room apartment and split the cost if you like as well. But it's not something that I would suggest if you are a student that's coming for your first year, because there's kind of a lot of things to take care of, unless you make sure that you come a week before Freshers Week to get everything sorted, or else it's going to be a little bit difficult and quite stressful for some people, because you need to like open your bank account here, you need to do all sorts of stuff, all the housekeeping stuff, right? Moving on, there's also student life. RG has a huge variety of societies, anything from computing, midwifery, business, ice skating, Dumbledore's Army, if you're a Harry Potter fan, and then there's also some faith-based ones like the Christian Union, Jewish Society, and the Muslim Society. And obviously, there's going to be a sports club like rowing, rugby, football, hockey, cheerleading, gymnastics, and stuff like that. And they have competitions amongst universities all the time. There's also some other student life like volunteering, Duke of Edinburgh, and raising and giving as well. But I think most importantly, I like to talk about the advice, welfare, and support that RGU gives to their students. I would highlight the Careers and Employability Center. they help you as a student. Say, for example, you need somebody to look through your CV for you. You can book yourself in for an appointment for 30 minutes and go through that with Careers and Employability Center staff, where they will go through your CV and give you some pointers on how to edit and amend your CV to make it look nice for your employers, and hit on points that you should be writing about and including that into your CV. On top of that, they also have a very good My Career Toolkit, where you can, there's like questions to prepare for interviews and things like that, which I found very useful myself as a student when I was studying here. Moving on, there's also the Chaplaincy and also the Rest Life. And I think I'd like to also highlight to you that we have a counseling and well-being center. So if you are feeling a little homesick and things like that, feel free to call them, and they're there to counsel you and give you support. On top of that, there's a Disability and Dyslexia Center as well. So if you have a learning disability, you need to get accessed by them, and then you will get extra time for exams and things like that as well. If you are having issues with like immigration questions, the immigration team is more than happy to help you. And there's also study skill sessions that is like an extra class for you. So if, say, for example, you're struggling with doing referencing work, they have a specific study skills class for referencing, and you can also book yourself in for it. There's a timetable that you can find on the student portal as well. There's one of the other things that I'd like to talk about is the Safe Taxi scheme in Aberdeen that the union has fought for. So say, for example, you were out at night and you sort of drop your wallet and you don't have money to come back home. Don't worry, using the Safe Taxi scheme, you can call the taxi and they'll send you home and you don't need to pay them. What happens is that usually you need to surrender your student ID. I have unofficial, I will tell you that I have heard that some people don't even have their student ID, but they gave their student number to the taxis, and usually what happens is the student union will email you later on telling you that you have taken this taxi ride and now you have to pay up. But at least you know that it's the middle of the night at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, you need to go home, you're too far away, there's no public transport, you still have this option even though you don't have any money with you. So, how many of you how many people knew that the first written evidence of football appears in book from Aberdeen? The first photo in the moon was taken by an Aberdonian, and there's an Aberdeen newspaper, Press and Journal is Britain's oldest daily news. I think some people here who are a little bit much younger would not know who Annie Lennox is, maybe, but I think most of us would know who Rose Leslie is, who is from Game of Thrones. Right. Moving on, fundings and scholarship. You, as a Canadian student, you are eligible for OSAP funding. And if you're an undergraduate coming for our courses, you're also going to get a RGU financial award. And there's also the High Achiever Awards for specifically for Canadian students. If you're a postgraduate student studying masters, you get the RGU Financial Award for full-time on-campus master's courses, and you can also apply for scholarships from Society, Chevening, and Commonwealth. You can find more information here. I am going to probably put a share of all this slides, and you can use it later on as well when you need it and download that from there. Next up, if you need more information, you want to speak to a current student, you can email schools liaison at rgu.ac.uk, visit our website, or email KOM consultants. This is my email right at the bottom as well, so feel free to email me or the IO inbox, I'm one of them who checks the inbox all the time as well. If there is any questions, would you like, anybody who has any questions, is there anything that I've missed out that I might not have touched upon, or if there's any requests, I can also try to fulfill that request. So, anyone? Okay, for those who are trying to obtain their visa, first and foremost, may I know, do you have you gotten a offer letter from us? Okay, right. So once you have done that, have you made payment for the tuition fees? Mark, KOM will be able to assist you with the visa process, but if you have any other Yeah, okay. So once you've made payment, we will give you an unconditional firm offer. And from there, we will start giving you information on how to start your visa process and also getting a CAS issued for you. And the CAS means that it's a letter that you need, sort of like it's basically the British system. And once you've gotten the CAS, you will get all the information about how much money you need to be in the bank account and things like that. And KOM will be able to assist you with that. Becca, unfortunately, we do not have a teaching program here in RGU, so we will not be able to advise you on that, unfortunately. Oh, no, Becca, we don't have an early childhood program. You're probably looking at KOM will be able to give you a few options, though. They represent a few universities, and they have really great early childhood education programs that I've seen. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for that question. Actually, we are looking into that, but we are still in infancy of that. So I will have to get back to you on that once I have spoken to the academics and they have checked some of the course programs to see whether we could match it and tell you how many years you need and what program that you're studying specifically, and then tell you how many years you can transfer over, but it's definitely something that we are looking into. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm so sorry I didn't get to say goodbye to the rest, but thank you so much for coming.